What's up guys, Kevin here from KevsPicks.com, and in today's video I'm going to go over my DraftKings NFL Week 3 picks. And before we get into those picks, I just want to mention that I will be doing a private video over at Fantasy Labs. I'll leave my link to Fantasy Labs in the YouTube description below. They're the best DFS tools out there in my opinion. I'm doing a video for members only like I have been doing the past couple weeks. This week it's going to be covering running backs. So you want to check that out, become a member over at Fantasy Labs and you'll have instant access to that as well. Let's switch over to the laptop and get into my DraftKings Week 3 picks. Before we get into the Week 3 picks, just a couple notes here. These picks are made with guaranteed prize pool contest or tournaments in mind, so not necessarily the cash games like the double up and 50-50s. Some of these picks will be a little more risky and I wouldn't play them in the cash games. Prices listed are DraftKings pricing, but I will almost always like every player mentioned on FanDuel as well for the week, as long as the pricing isn't crazy. I make multiple lineups each week, and these are just some of my favorite picks. For updates on my picks closer to Sunday, make sure you subscribe to my emails, and the link to do that is in the YouTube description below this video. My top stack here for Week 3 is going to be Aaron Rodgers paired with Davante Adams. I know I had this stack in Week 1, but I'm coming right back with it in Week 3. The Packers are at home versus the Bengals as 8.5-point favorites with a total at 46.5 points. And Aaron Rodgers has attempted 50 and 42 passes in his first 2 weeks with 20 and 23 DraftKings points scored. And Rodgers is the highest scoring DraftKings quarterback on the Sunday slate over the past calendar year. So if you were to take Rodgers pretty much every week over the last year, you've probably done pretty well. And I'm expecting to have another big game here this week against the Bengals. Davante Adams scored 23.9 DraftKings points on 10 targets last week and was 1 yard away from a touchdown and a 100-yard bonus that would have put him up over 30 DraftKings points. His price should be quite a bit higher, but DraftKings released the pricing before the Sunday night game. So we're getting a nice discount at $5,600, especially with Jordy Nelson dealing with a quad injury. It looks like he's going to play, but he's maybe a little banged up, and then Cobb is questionable. So if he's out, Davante Adams is probably going to be very popular, but either way, I like this stack quite a bit. So my top running back here is going to be Le'Veon Bell, 8,800. The Steelers are at Chicago as 7-point favorites with an implied team total at 26 points. And I know Bell is the highest priced running back on DraftKings, so it's not like I'm going out on a limb with this pick. But he did have a slow start in weeks 1 and 2, 7 and 13 DraftKings points. And I think that might keep his ownership down a little bit. There's some other high-priced running backs in really good spots as well. So I think ownership might be spread out a little bit. Some guys might be on Hunt and Gordon, which are two guys I like as well. But Bell's going to be my top play of the week at 8,800. Over the last calendar year, he's averaging 25.5 DraftKings points per game, and he scored 30 or more DraftKings points 5 times last season and had a price on DraftKings as high as 10,500. So 8,800 is a great price for him, and I'm going to be locking him in a ton of lineups this week in Week 3. So another top receiver of mine this week is going to be Rashard Matthews, 4,200. The Titans are at home versus the Seahawks as small favorites. And with Corey Davis out for Tennessee, Matthews' usage should increase, even though he's already had pretty high usage overall. He's seen at least 5 targets in 9 of his last 10 games and 9 or more targets in 6 of those games. And he scored 24 or more DraftKings points 3 times over that 10-game stretch. So he's got the upside as well. He's not in an ideal matchup versus the Seahawks, but as the number 1 target in Tennessee, he's a great price at just $4,200 on DraftKings. I'll probably be playing him in cash games as well. My third receiver here is someone who I think will be somewhat low owned, Jamison Crowder from the Redskins, 4,900 on DraftKings. Washington's at home versus the Raiders as 3-point underdogs in the game with the highest total of the week for the Sunday slate at 55 points. Crowder's had a slow start to the year with 3 and 8 DraftKings points in his first 2 games, but in those games he saw 5 and 7 targets, so that's not too bad. Last year, Crowder had a streak of 8 straight games with double-digit DraftKings points, including 3 with 20 or more DraftKings points. So he's shown some upside for that price. He's definitely a risky GPP type play. Probably wouldn't play him in cash. But with Reed not 100%, Crowder's usage should increase, or it could increase in a probable high-scoring game. So I like him quite a bit for a GPP type play. At 4,900, I think he's got the potential to put up 20 or more DraftKings points in a pretty good matchup versus the Raiders in what's expected to be a high-scoring game. One of my favorite tournament tight ends this week is going to be Jack Doyle from the Colts, $3,600 on DraftKings. The Colts are at home versus the Browns as 1-point underdogs, and we've got a total at 41 points. So not a lot of points expected to be scored in this one, but I do think Doyle can have a pretty nice day. So far, number 1 tight ends have scored 22 and 17 DraftKings points versus the Browns this year. And it's not like we were talking about guys like Zach Ertz or Travis Kelce. This was Jesse James from the Steelers, Benjamin Watson from the Ravens. So I think Doyle could have a big game as well. Jacoby Brissett targeted Doyle 8 times in his first start for the Colts, and Doyle caught all 8 of those for 79 yards. So pretty good connection there in their first game together. Last season, Doyle was targeted 9 or more times twice and put up 22 and 11 DraftKings points. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets close to 10 targets this week and has a pretty big day on DraftKings. So I like him quite a bit for tournaments. One of my most used defenses this week will be the Colts at $3,200 on DraftKings. As we talked about, they're facing the Browns. And so far, defenses facing the Browns this year have put up 18 and 17 DraftKings points. Rookie quarterback DeShone Kizer has thrown 4 interceptions and has been sacked 9 times in 1.5 games played. So he missed part of last week's game with a migraine, and he still has 4 interceptions and 9 sacks on the year. So not a great start to his rookie season. The Colts defense may not be as good as the Steelers or the Ravens, but they do have 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 interception this year. So I think they can force some turnovers here at home. DeShone Kizer seems to hold on to the ball. I talked about this last week a little bit. He seems to hold on to the ball a lot and make some errant throws. So I'm going to continue to play defenses facing him each week at DraftKings. If you want to win more money on DraftKings or FanDuel this year, I highly recommend you sign up for the tools over at Fantasy Labs. You'll get access to my pro model, the Sports Geek model that you can see on the screen here, as well as all the other pro models and all the other great tools over at Fantasy Labs. I'll leave my link to Fantasy Labs in the YouTube description below this video. Check them out. They helped me win $100,000 placing first in a GPP in 2015, and they've helped a lot of people win money and make money each week. So I highly recommend you check them out. Link is in the YouTube description below. And if you guys enjoyed that video, please do me a big favor and click that thumbs up or like button on YouTube. It'll help support my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. Good luck this week, guys. Hopefully you guys make some money. Talk to you later.